How's it going? David Cruz here. Today I'm going to talk to you about types of calls and what kind of sounds you can do with these calls. Now, hold on, I should have been organized before I did this. Now, the first call I want to talk to you about is the closed reed call. Second call we'll talk about will be the open reed. And then the third is probably one of my favorites, and the diaphragm call. Now, let's talk about the closed reed. In my opinion, this is the simplest call to master. Very easy to use, perfect for beginner callers. Even experts, they carry these on them just because of the variety of sounds you can make and how easy they are to use. Now, this is a call specific type call. This one does cottontail distress. You can get them in jackrabbits. You can do javelinas. They have woodpeckers. I mean, they come in a variety of sounds. Personally, if you're going to get started in predator hunting, I suggest the first call you buy is one of these. They're cheap and they're easy to find. Now, the way you use these is pretty simple. You blow on this end, and then the sound comes out of this end. Now, when you're calling, if this is your first time you've ever seen anyone call, or you've researched it, the basic technique on calling for any type of call is cupping your hand over the call to control the sound pressure coming out of here. So as you blow, you're controlling the air pressure that's flowing out of here, and you're changing the pitch of it. Now, you can just blow in it and just move your hands and do that kind of call, but why do that when you can spice it up a little bit? Quiver your jaw. When you quiver your jaw, it changes the pitch and makes it sound more real. If you hum into it, just do a regular hum, like you're humming a song. It gives it a very raspy sound to it. Now, you also want to think about the cadence of the call. Now, what I mean by cadence, I mean the bigger the critter, the longer the cadence. The smaller the critter, the shorter the cadence. Just think about it this way. If you're doing a cottontail, think about a cottontail's lungs. It only holds a very small amount of air, compared to a fawn who has larger lungs, holds a lot more air. So if you're going to do a cottontail, you're going to make them short. Just like that. Now, that's just me blowing in it and using my hands to cup it. Now, if I quiver the jaw, it's going to sound a little bit different. Alright, that's quivering the jaw. Now you throw a hum in there. Alright. Now, when you're using any kind of call, you want to throw some emotion in there. I mean, it's an animal that's dying. It's getting ripped up. It's crying for its life. So you really want to make it sound. Just don't be afraid to really get into it. My buddy, he likes to bob his head and like he's playing a saxophone. I mean, it's you're trying to make it sound real. All right, the second call we have is the open reed call. Now, open reeds are my favorite. They're a little more trickier to use than the closed reed call, simply because you are controlling the pitch of your sound with your lips or teeth on the reed. As you can see, this has an exposed reed. The higher up your lips are or teeth are, the deeper the sound's going to be. The lower, the more high pitch it's going to be. So these calls can do a variety of call. This one call can do jackrabbits, cottontails. I can make woodpecker sounds with it just by flaring my tongue a little bit. I can hum into it. I can do fawn distress sounds. I can do pup distress sounds. Coyotes with them. I can even do like a puppy howl with it. They're such versatile calls. They're easy to find, and they come in several varieties. Personally, if you're a beginner, you want to look for something with a very flexible reed. Some open reed calls out there have a thick reed on there, and it takes a lot longer to learn. With these smaller reeds that are flexible and more workable, you can really you can learn faster and pretty much master it. I have two open reed calls. This one, as you can see, is a lot bigger reed. It's more rounded, blunt. So this one's going to give you deeper sounds. This one's very good for howls. Let's see, adult distress sounds. You can do fawn distress sounds with it, doe bleats, whatever you want. Let me give you an example on how these sounds. This is just a prey distress sound. Alright, now, as you see, I'm doing the cupping action like I said before. Now, quivering the jaw at the same time. Alright, you can hum into it. A lot of times when I'm using these open reed calls, I'll start the call off higher, and then I'll slide my lips back a little bit just to change the tone of it. You want it You really want to make it that wah, wah. Picture a baby crying. Go with the rhythm of what a baby would sound like when it's crying and just kind of shorten it a little bit. You want it to sound wah, wah, wah. Alright? Very fun calls to use. Third call I have coming up, the diaphragm. Now, diaphragm calls have been around for a while. Turkey, elk hunters, I mean, they kind of have a head start because, you know, they've been using them a lot longer. This diaphragm is I don't know which brand it is, but it's a howler. And I love diaphragm calls for their howls because you can really control the pitch with just moving your lips, how your lips are, how far apart they are and stuff. You can hum with it. You can do adult distress sounds, puppy distress sounds, which are Coyotes. They're very easy to use. I suggest you practice them where someone else is around because there is always a risk you can choke on it by inhaling it, especially in predator calling because we're taking deep breaths all the time for our calls, especially doing howls. You're and you don't want this thing to go back there. So it's always good to have someone around. Personally, just for howls, I like the diaphragm call. They make them to do distress sounds too, but it's a little more trickier. It tickles your tongue a little more. Let me go ahead and give you an example on this sound. Alright, so I got it in my mouth. I'm trying to control the volume because I'm inside the house and I don't want my neighbors freaking out thinking I have a coyote inside. That's just a little example. I'm not doing it as loud as it can go. But yeah, after you're done with them, you always want to rinse them off because you're going to slobber all over them just to keep them clean. Now, any of these calls you can find on pretty much any website. The best thing I can tell you is to practice, practice, practice. You can buy a DVD and you could, you know, they're fairly cheap. There's a lot of them. You can watch a professional demonstrate all the sounds with them. But personally, what I like to do is on the drive to work, you know, or I drive to work early in the morning, I like to practice them in my truck. So, you know, you're by yourself, no one's around to hear you, so you can just really get into it, but still pay attention while you're driving. But yeah, just practice, practice, and you'll get the hang of it eventually, and you'll notice that the more you do it, the better you get at it, the more coyotes, bobcats, foxes you're going to call in. Alright, I'm David Cruz. Can't wait to see you next time. I'm going to be talking about howls next time. Alright, bye.